Hi, fourth grade, and welcome back to Math with Mr. G. I'm here to continue our work with our grade 5 content. This is for grade 5, mission 1, lesson 2. This is for my students that have caught up with the previous missions and are looking to get ahead for next year and start learning how a lot of things we learned this year apply and formulate in different ways mathematically. So we have a problem here that's very similar to the one we went over yesterday. This problem is following the same objective where we reason abstractly using place value understanding to relate adjacent base 10 units from millions to thousands. So you can see here I have my place value chart. I've drawn it just a little more neatly today with a little more practice, and you can see here I have my decimal point and I've extended it into the tenths, hundredths, and thousandths as well. So here we're also applying our knowledge of decimals as we bring together more concepts from fourth grade. Now, we're going to be doing the same thing here where we divide by 10. This number is 637. Just like we did before, we are going to be moving our digits over to the right by 1. Each one of them we're moving over into this bottom column. So my 6 is going to move here, my 3 is going to move here, and my 7 is going to move here. So I will also draw those in. 637 is now 63.7 or 63 and 7 tenths. And I'll also do this decimal point there so we can draw it out. So what's interesting about this is I showed you guys the zero rule yesterday. This follows a very similar concept where if you take 637 and you divide it by 10, all you're doing is rewriting that. I'll take my blue here to show my work. Bring it down here. And I'm going to rewrite that number. But this time I'm imagining this is getting smaller, but because there's no zeros there, I can't necessarily follow the same rule. I'm imagining there's a decimal place here, and I'm just moving it over. So now it's 63.7. I'll circle our answers here in red. So I call this the decimal skip. Almost like when you're skipping on the sidewalk, you're moving different spots, either left or right. If I were to, let's say, take 63.7, and I'll draw that here on the right, and we'll separate these two with a blue line, and I were to multiply it, let's fix that 7, not much better. There we go. Now we're to multiply this times 10. I'm going to follow the same idea, but this time my decimal is going to skip one place to the right because there's only one place here that I'm moving. So it now becomes 637. Following the same set of rules, understanding that it can skip either way. So I have the place value chart here to show you how these numbers move as units. I have the decimal skip rule here to show you guys how this can be applied without a place value chart, which is what really the goal is going to be for us to do. Like anything, math is practice, and the more we practice this and the more we dive into this content, the more you'll see how these strategies interplay with each other, the more you'll see how these can apply, and more often how you're going to be able to do this even in your head on a pretty regular basis. This is something I use every day when I'm either counting or I'm using math to understand money. Very, very simple with enough practice. As we move forward, we're going to be adding more and more components of fourth grade work to this to see how everything kind of ties together. I appreciate your work, and I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow.